It was during the season of early rains when the forest breathed heavy with the sweet scent of roasted yam sizzling over charcoal fires and the rich, loamy smell of damp earth stirred by sudden showers. The nightjar bird sent its mournful cry through the twilight, quick, quick, cutting like an ancestor's warning. Adu, spear balanced on his shoulder, parted the thick undergrowth and stepped into the marketplace of a village that defied every law of West African life. The square was full, yet very quiet. Women in brightly patterned wrappers pounded cassava into fufu, pestles thumping without the usual songs of gossip or praise. Children chased each other between mud huts, bare feet slapping the damp earth, faces bright but lips sealed. Merchants displayed piles of yams and peppers, yet no voices haggled. Only the talking drum, carved from sacred Irako wood, pulsed low, rhythmic messages, stranger approaches. Be cautious. Maintain the silence. Adu's stomach rumbled louder than the drum. He wiped sweat from his brow and called out, "Peace and blessings upon this place, my brothers and sisters. A weary hunter from afar seeks a place by your fire and a tale to exchange for your hospitality." The people froze midair, heads turned in unison, eyes wide with dread. An elder, face lined like cracked baobab bark, hair white as cotton, shuffled forward. With a trembling finger he scratched in the red dust. "Stranger, heed this. In our village, every single word spoken claims exactly one day of your life. The gods laid this curse when our tongues grew loose with boasts and scandals. Silence preserves what little time we have. Take what you need in quiet and leave before the sun sets, or pay the price with your own days." Adu threw back his head and laughed, the sound ringing unnaturally off the huts. "Come now, wise elder, you spin a tale to frighten children. I have faced lions in the bush and used my words to call them out. Superstition cannot bind a true hunter." Yet his laughter died as the elder pointed to a row of small mounds beyond the huts, graves, each marked with rows of stones counting the days foolishly spent by those who had ignored the warning. The wise path was clear. Accept the silent yam a woman offered from a nearby fire, eat in gratitude, and slip back into the forest at dawn. But the forbidden element pulled harder. There stood Efua, the chief's only daughter, skin glowing like polished ebony, eyes deep as sacred forest pools. When she placed a warm slice of roasted yam in his palm, her fingers brushed his and a spark passed that needed no words. Adu's heart, starved for stories and connection, chose the risk. He stayed. The first mini-crisis came that evening as the nightjar cried on and the damp earth cooled. Seated by the communal fire, flames dancing on silent faces, Adu could no longer contain his nature. He leaned toward Efua and whispered, "Your eyes tell stories deeper than any river I have crossed." 7 words. A wave of unnatural fatigue washed over him. His limbs grew heavy as if one full day had been sliced from his future. Villagers gestured in panic. The elder scratched urgently in the dust. "Foolish hunter, why you do this? The ancestors see your defiance. How will you survive when more days flee?" Why did he speak? Because silence felt like a cage to a man whose tales had always earned him respect around distant campfires. His words were his power, his bridge across loneliness. The consequence loomed, yet Efua's gentle smile made the risk feel like life itself. He survived the first loss, though his step was slower the next morning. The second mini-crisis struck 3 nights later under a starless sky thick with the scent of roasted yam from the evening fires. Adu's hunter ears caught low growls. A pack of hyenas, eyes glowing like coals, circled the goat kraal. The silent villagers, bent over mute shores, remained unaware. Adu sprang up. "Danger! Hyenas at the kraal. Wake and arm yourselves with spears." 12 words tore free. The drain hit harder. His knees buckled. A streak of gray bloomed in his hair. A cough rattled his chest. He charged anyway, spear flashing as the talking drum pounded frantic alarms. Together they drove the beasts away, saving the goats and a sleeping child. Why risk more days? because the hunter's blood would not let harm befall the voiceless souls who had fed him, and his growing love for Efua now burned hotter than any fire. How would he survive the accumulating consequences? The question gnawed deeper as he lay awake, the nightjar's cry now sounding like a countdown. Then came the reversal that twisted every perspective. After the battle, Efua took Adu's hand and led him to the chief's hut, where oil lamps flickered against walls hung with ancestral masks. The elder dipped his finger in palm wine and drew a long message in the dust, eyes solemn. Adu, you are no mere wanderer. You were born in this very village. Your father was our chief, a proud man whose tongue knew no bounds. He boasted to the gods that he could summon rains with his voice alone. The curse descended that night. Every word in our borders now steals a day of life. Your mother spoke her last breath to name you Adu and begged passing hunters to carry you far away, beyond the curse's reach. The ancestors have guided your steps home, for only the sun's return might lift the burden. But the path is perilous, and the stranger you thought you were is now revealed as the bearer of your father's blood debt. Adu staggered. Half-forgotten dreams of these huts flooded back. His restless tongue, which had caused small troubles in his adopted river clan, was no accident. It was inheritance. No longer a curious outsider tempted by oddity, he was fate's chosen vessel. The listener's view of the protagonist shifted. Every risky step had been destiny tightening its noose. The third crisis crashed down as the dry season tightened its fist. No rains came. Fields cracked. Yams shriveled. Hunger clawed at the children. The talking drum beat desperate messages. Cowrie shells from the oracle were clear. Only the full sacred invocation, 100 ancient words spoken at the baobab tree, could summon the rains and break the curse forever. No villager could pay such a toll. Their lives were already pared to threads. Only Adu, the returned son, held the power. The choice tore at him. The wise, boring path remained silent. Let the village endure as it always had, preserve what days remained. But the risky path blazed irresistible. Efua's pleading eyes, the hollow cheeks of the children, the thought of voices finally freed. He chose, at midnight, with the nightjar strangely hushed and the smell of damp earth rising on a hopeful breeze. Adu stood beneath the baobab's ancient boughs, roots gripping the ground like ancestral fingers. He began the invocation, voice rhythmic and strong. O great spirits of sky and earth, ancestors who walk with us, hear the plea of the sun return. 10 words, shoulders slumped. 20, a line of age creased his brow. 40, hair grayed like storm clouds, voice cracked. 60, back bent, breath labored. 80, dark clouds gathered. 90, thunder answered. At the 100th word, let the rains fall and voices rise once more. Lightning split the sky. Torrents poured, blessing the parched land. The curse shattered. Voices erupted. Laughter, songs, prayers filling the air for the first time in generations. Efua ran through the downpour, her voice clear and beautiful. Adu, my love, the one promised by the ancestors before the curse. You have given us back our souls. But the heavy price fell on Adu alone. As the last raindrop kissed his cheek, he sank to the wet earth, body aged decades and moments, life ebbing with the days he had spent. With a final, weak smile, he looked at Efua and rasped, I have found the wisdom. Words hold power, but silence teaches their true value. I lose my life, but gain the peace of knowing my sacrifice brought voices to the voiceless. Remember, the tongue that knows no bound shortens the path of life. He closed his eyes as the rain washed the village clean. The people thrived with songs and stories once more, but they never forgot the hunter who paid everything. And the griots still pass on the heavy African wisdom. He who speaks without restraint is like the river that overflows and destroys its own banks. True wisdom comes at a cost, sometimes your entire tomorrow, but it is the price that makes the lesson eternal. For as the old proverb says, a word is a seed, plant too many without care, and the garden of your life withers before harvest. My children, Let it weigh on your hearts the next time your tongue itches to speak.